The rain pounded against the window of my cramped Brooklyn apartment like it was trying to break in, mirroring the storm raging inside me as I stared at the text message lighting up my phone. Meet me at the old warehouse. We need to talk. Andrew. My heart slammed against my ribs. Why now? After all these years of avoiding him like the plague. I could still feel the sting of that high school betrayal. The way he'd outed me to the entire football team just to save his own skin, turning my life into a nightmare of whispers and punches. But curiosity, or maybe some twisted masochism, dragged me out into the downpour. I arrived at the abandoned warehouse on the edge of Queens, the place where we'd first met as kids playing hooky, now a ghost of rusted metal and forgotten dreams. Andrew was there, leaning against a graffiti-covered wall, his broad shoulders tense under a soaked leather jacket. Those hands, God. Those infamous hands clenched into fists at his sides. Alex, he said, his voice rough like gravel, eyes locking onto mine with an intensity that made my stomach twist. I know you hate me. Hell, I hate myself for what I did back then. But there's something you need to know, something that changes everything. I wanted to spit in his face, to tell him to go to hell. But those hands unclenched, reaching out hesitantly, and for a split second, I remembered how they'd once sketched my portrait in secret during art class, capturing my soul before he shattered it. The air thickened with unspoken regrets, and I froze, caught in the pull of a man I'd sworn to despise forever. The warehouse smelled of damp concrete and distant thunder, a fitting backdrop for this unwanted reunion. Andrew stepped closer, his breath visible in the chill, and I backed up instinctively, my sneakers scraping against the gritty floor. What could possibly change anything? I snapped, my voice echoing off the walls. You ruined me, Andrew. Senior year was hell because of you. He ran a hand through his wet blonde hair, those fingers long, calloused from years of manual labor. I guess trembling slightly. I was scared. Alex. Terrified. My dad. He would have killed me if he found out I was. Like you. His eyes, a stormy blue, pleaded for understanding, but I wasn't ready to give it. Like me. You mean gay? I laughed bitterly, the word hanging heavy between us. You threw me under the bus to hide your own truth. And now, what? You want forgiveness because life's kicked you around too. Andrew's face crumpled, but he didn't back down. No. I want to make it right. I've spent the last decade regretting that night. I joined the military after high school, tried to outrun it all, but it followed me. Deployments in Afghanistan. Losing friends, it forced me to face who I am. I crossed my arms, rain dripping from my hood onto my face, mixing with the hot tears I refused to acknowledge. Part of me wanted to believe him, but the scars ran deep. Why now? Why drag me here? Because I saw you last week at that gallery opening in Manhattan, he admitted, his voice dropping. You with your paintings. Successful. Out and proud. It hit me like a freight train. You've been hiding while you've been living. The gallery. I'd felt eyes on me that night, but dismissed it as paranoia. Now, here he was, the ghost from my past, stirring up emotions I'd buried under layers of resentment. I turned to leave, but his hand grazed my arm, gentle, tentative, and a jolt shot through me, warm and electric, making me pause despite myself. Alex, please. Just hear me out over coffee. No strings. I yanked away, but the touch lingered, those hands imprinting on my skin like a brand. Against my better judgment, I nodded. One coffee. That's it. We ended up at a dingy diner in Astoria, the kind with vinyl booths and bottomless black coffee that tasted like regret. Andrew sat across from me, his hands wrapped around his mug, knuckles scarred from what looked like old fights. He talked really talk for the first time. About his abusive father in rural Pennsylvania. The pressure to be the perfect son. The confusion of feelings he couldn't name. I kissed a guy once. In secret. Before everything blew up. He confessed. Staring into his coffee. It was you, Alex. In the art room after school. Remember? How could I forget? That stolen moment. Brief and terrifying. Before he panicked and spread the rumor that I was the one obsessed with him. Yeah, I muttered. And then you destroyed me. Shame flooded his features. I was a coward. But war changes you. I came out to my unit last year. Lost some friends. Gained others. Now I'm back in New York. Working construction. Trying to rebuild. Construction. That explained the hand strong. Capable. Etched with the stories of hard labor. As he spoke, I found myself watching them. How they gestured with quiet precision. Painting pictures in the air. There was a tenderness there I'd never noticed before. Hidden beneath the roughness. By the time we left, the rain had stopped, leaving the streets glistening under streetlights. Thanks for listening, he said, offering a hand to shake. I took it, and damn if that grip didn't send a shiver down my spine, firm yet careful, like he was holding something fragile. Don't think this means we're friends, I warned, but my voice lacked conviction. As I walked home, the city buzzing around me, I couldn't shake the feeling that something had shifted. Hate was a heavy burden, and for the first time, it felt a little lighter. Days blurred into weeks, and Andrew became an unwelcome constant in my thoughts. I'd spot him at construction sites around Brooklyn, his hands wielding tools with effortless grace, building things where others saw ruins. One evening, after a grueling day at my studio, painting abstracts that screamed my inner chaos, my phone buzzed. Saw your new piece online. It's powerful. Dinner. I ignored it at first, but loneliness won out. We met at a cozy Italian spot in Little Italy, the air thick with garlic and candlelight. Andrew arrived in a crisp shirt, his hands clean but still bearing faint calluses. And for a moment, I saw the boy he'd been vulnerable, searching. Over pasta and wine, conversation flowed easier. He shared stories from the front lines, the camaraderie that saved him, the nightmares that followed. I opened up about my own battles, the therapy sessions, the failed relationships, the art that became my salvation. You're brave, Alex, he said softly, his hand brushing mine across the table. Braver than I ever was. The touch ignited something warmth spreading from my fingers to my chest. I pulled back, heart racing. This isn't happening. I can't forget what you did. But as we walked through Central Park later, leaves crunching underfoot, his hand found mine again, interlocking fingers with a naturalness that disarmed me. Those hands, once symbols of betrayal, now felt like anchors in a stormy sea. We stopped by a fountain, the water's murmur drowning out the city noise. I don't deserve this, he whispered, thumb tracing circles on my palm. Maybe not, I replied, leaning in despite myself. Our lips met tentative at first, then urgent, a collision of past hurts and present desires. It was messy, complicated, but in that kiss, hate cracked open, revealing the raw vulnerability beneath. From there, our worlds intertwined. Andrew invited me to his site one day, where I watched him work, those hands transforming steel beams into structures that defied gravity. See, building something from nothing, he said, wiping sweat from his brow. Inspired, I started a new series of paintings, focusing on hands as metaphors for redemption. But shadows lingered. Whispers from old high school friends reached me. Andrew had a reputation. Flings with men in the military. Nothing serious. Doubt crept in. One night, After a heated argument about trust, I stormed out of his apartment in Harlem. "You think you can just waltz back and fix everything with a touch?" I yelled. He followed, grabbing my wrist gently. "I'm trying, Alex. For the first time, I'm really trying." His hands pulled me close, and in that embrace, I forgot why I'd ever wanted to stay away. But forgiveness wasn't easy. It came in waves, crashing against the rocks of resentment. As fall turned to winter, our relationship deepened, fraught with passion and pitfalls. Andrew's hands became my obsession, how they cooked breakfast with surprising delicacy, massaged away my tensions after long studio hours, traced love notes on my back in the dark. Yet, Kitch Tin brewed. At a holiday party in Chelsea, I met Jamie, Andrew's ex from the army, a sharp-tongued veteran with eyes like daggers. "Be careful," Jamie warned over eggnog. "Andrew's good at starting fires, but lousy at putting them out." Jealousy flared, but Andrew dismissed it. Jamie's bitter. We ended badly because I wasn't ready. Still, seeds of doubt took root. One snowy evening, I confronted him in his apartment, the fireplace crackling like accusations. "Is this just another fling for you? Am I your redemption story?" His face paled. "No, Alex. You're everything." To prove it, he took my hands in his, those magical hands, and led me to a drawer. Inside was a sketchbook filled with drawings of me, from high school to now, each one capturing my essence with heartbreaking accuracy. "I never stopped thinking about you," he confessed, voice breaking, "even when I hated myself most." Tears streamed down my face as I flipped through the pages. This wasn't just romance. It was reckoning. We made love that night, his hands exploring with reverence, erasing old wounds one caress at a time. But life, ever the dramatist, threw a curveball. Andrew's father showed up unannounced, a grizzled man from Pennsylvania, spewing homophobic vitriol when he caught us together. "You're a disgrace," he bellowed, fists raised. Andrew stood tall, his hands steady as he shielded me. "No, Dad. The disgrace was hiding who I am. Alex taught me that." The confrontation escalated, words flying like shrapnel, until the old man left in a huff. In the aftermath, Andrew crumpled, but I held him, my hands in his, forging strength from shared pain. Spring brought renewal. We volunteered at an LGBT youth center in the Bronx, Andrew using his construction skills to renovate the space, his hands building safe havens for kids like we'd been. I painted murals, our collaboration a testament to growth. One day, amid the chaos of hammers and laughter, he dropped to one knee, a simple ring in his palm. "Alex, will you marry me? Let me spend forever making up for lost time." I said yes, tears mingling with joy, because those hands' hands had rewritten our story from hate to unbreakable love. Our wedding was intimate, on a rooftop in Manhattan, city lights twinkling like stars. Friends like Maria, my gallery curator, and even Jamie, who'd become an ally, toasted to second chances. In vows, Andrew said, "Your strength healed me. Alex, these hands, they're yours now, to build our future." Mine, I hated you once, but love one. You've shown me forgiveness is the greatest act of courage. As we danced, his hands on my waist, I reflected on the journey, the kitsch tin of betrayal, the gay can of rediscovery, the cam-sucked depths we'd plumbed. It wasn't perfect. Scars remained, but they made us human, resilient. In embracing our truths, we found not just romance, but a profound lesson. Hate fades when hands reach out in honesty, bridging divides with touch and time. And in that, We discovered the true meaning of living authentically. Together,